Thank you, Jane. Ladies and gentlemen, if you may please take our seats. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Vice President, Acting President, that is. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like saying, if there is a person, if there is a man who knows how to putting on a really good suit, other than myself, of course, please, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Mr. Ndaba Gaolathe for looking always the part. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And I do recognize you too, Honorable Minister Nzima. You were not here earlier on when we were observing the protocol. So now, ladies and gentlemen, moving on with our program, it is now my honor to introduce to the stage Mr. George Wilson, the CEO of Global Ventures Partners and the representative of Time Africa, to come announce, well, he comes bearing a very exciting announcement, an announcement of a partnership between the government of Botswana and Global Ventures Partners.
Certainly couldn't find the podium for a second. How's everyone doing? That's all we have. How's everyone doing? Fantastic. Listen, we're really excited about this new era as it pertains to Botswana, and we're really excited about our continent and everything that's happening. There's so many exciting things. I think from our perspective, the scope of growth and development has been dramatic over the course of the past few years, and this is something that we really want to take advantage of and do something that is truly memorable, not just from a media standpoint, but from an investment standpoint and from a growth standpoint. So I'd like to announce today, even though obviously our agreement was signed, I believe, in May, June, I think that's right, Mr. CEO, a 160 million pool of investment from Global Venture Partners through blended finance into Botswana. Now, just to gesticulate a bit about who I am and what we do. So we have a venture firm, a venture holding company called Global Venture Partners. We focus on media and publishing, financial services, infrastructure and energy, and research and policy. Our media and publishing division is probably our most well-known division, in which we own licenses for Time, as you can see on the screen. I'm sure you may be aware of the brand. Billboard, Rolling Stone, and Robb Report as well. That's for the African continent and also for Rolling Stone for West Asia and North Africa as well. One of the things that I've specifically noticed is just how amazing Botswana is as a country. And I know a lot of people in this room have known that potentially for a very long time. But you have created something here that truly stands out from a continental perspective. And we want to make sure that that story is told. You guys have an amazing propensity to focus on social infrastructure, to focus on the growth of your economy, and you care about your people, and you've utilized your diamond revenues in a positive way for decades. That stands out on this continent. You have provided free healthcare, you've provided free education, you have provided free land. That stands out on this continent. These are things that the rest of the world can learn from. And these are things that I have the privilege of talking to the acting president about in a few moments. But these are the types of things we want to exemplify. I'd like to thank BITC, the Madam Chair. I'd like to thank the CEO, Kels. I'd like to thank Kutlo, Moagi, and the entire team at BITC. They have been absolutely fantastic. I'd like to thank MDCB for their contributions. I'd also like to thank the Zotis Group for the amazing scope of development that they are putting forth into Botswana as well. Most of all, I'd like to thank the Botswanan people, because I feel that without you, this country wouldn't be in the position it's in. The Tswana people have had democracy for a very long time. And I would applaud you, and I hope you applaud yourselves for what you have done for this country and how you have represented it on the global stage. Because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here. So thank you very much for everything that you have done to help grow the country, and thank you very much for everything that you will continue to do. The creative sector and the entrepreneurship sector is the backbone of every economy that we've seen. Whether we look at Paris, and we spoke about this a second ago, the acting president, and it's branded as the city of love. We look at the American dream. We look at the city that never sleeps in New York. It's quite ironic that I think a lot of these places are the antithesis of this. I was with the UN at the UNGA trying to get some food at 10 p.m. in New York, and everything was shut, so I don't understand how it's a city that never sleeps. But, you know, the branding matters, similar with other jurisdictions, and I think that when we look at Botswana, that has the potential to be a center for creativity, that is a diamond hub for the globe, we want to make sure that people understand and know that story through our brands and through our scope and through our investment. And as that continues, we'll be attracting more foreign direct investment, there'll be more businesses, and Botswanans will be empowered for decades to come, not just through creativity and entrepreneurship, but also through many other areas of growth and development. You will see a capital in Botswana and a leader, as you have been for years, but as no one has known about. So we're very, very excited about the partnership. I'd like to thank the acting president for being in attendance. I'd like to thank President Boko and the initiatives that have been put forth with him. And I'd like to thank everyone here for attending. So thank you very much, and I look forward to the next panel. Thank you.
Is Africa's. This decade is the decade of African independence. Forward then to independence. To independence now. Tomorrow, the United States of Africa.
Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is first African and a woman to hold the position of Director General at the World Trade Organization.
Africa is the source of solution.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wilson. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is at that point where we now move into our fireside conversation between His Honor, the Vice President, or rather the Acting President of the Republic of Botswana, Mr. Ndaba Nkosinathi Gaolathe, and Mr. Josh Wilson of Time Africa. The dialogue will unpack Botswana's bold economic vision, creative sector growth, and Africa's evolving investment landscape. So now, ladies and gentlemen, without wasting any more time, will you please help me in welcoming Mr. Wilson back to the stage for the introduction of the Republic of Botswana.
Thank you all. It's been so long since I was last up here. I'm really looking forward to this discussion. So we'll be discussing a number of elements around the creative and entrepreneurship sector with the acting president. Time, is a brand where we've interviewed more US presidents than any other media brand, and we have a reputation of not having hit pieces and not having puff pieces either. We ask conversational questions, and we try and make sure we stick to strong editorial guidelines. And obviously we want to make sure that through this conversation that we can elucidate some of the future of Botswana and some of the future endeavors that engulf creativity and entrepreneurship. So I'd like to invite Mr. Acting President to the stage so we can continue our discussion. Mr. Acting President. Testing. Testing. Everyone hear this? Okay, we go. Mr. Acting President, once again, thank you very much for taking the time to have this discussion with us at time. I think the first place we'd really like to start is on the entrepreneurship and creative sector as a whole in Botswana. As we talked about in our briefing before, you've had such a stable market. You've been able to utilize your natural resources in a positive fashion. And now there's more excitement around Botswana, arguably, than ever before. How is this going to serve the creative and entrepreneurship sector going forward in the vision of your current administration?
Well, good morning to you, Josh. Good morning to everyone here today. It's a privilege to be here. I'm very grateful to see so many people yearning to hear about our journey as Botswana. Well, let me start, before I even answer the questions, let me start by saying I believe there is no place as beautiful as Botswana. I believe that there is no place under the sun in the universe with as beautiful our golden sunrises and our golden sunsets. No place under the sun as beautiful as our Okavango and the egret birds and the heron birds. No place as beautiful as Botswana with our savanna lands and our baobab trees, with our elephants and our leopards. No place as beautiful as Botswana with our songs and poetry and the smiles of our people and the way they walk, the way they sing, the way they do things. So I believe this beauty gives us something to share with the world. We have so much to share with the world. We want the world to be part of this beauty. And one thing that I have come to learn is that the answers to the existential questions of the day, the future of our people, is not with government and has never been with government. It's with the people. You know, the people understand where they want to go. They understand what they want to do. They have a mastery of who they are. And what the government's role is to handhold the people to bring out the best in themselves. That is really our role, to bring out the best out of our people. So we will talk about how we intend to do that as Botswana, or as the new Botswana.
Yeah. And I think that's a really great place to start, because there's obviously a massive scope and push for diversification as it comes to Botswana. In fact, I would argue it's been a trigger word, you know, and something that has been a constant scope of conversation in Botswana for many, many years, to move away from diamonds, to move away from being more of a mono industry country and to have that diversification plug in. When you look at the current ecosystem of the creative and entrepreneurship sector, where does that sit within your diversification strategy and how important is it?
I think the starting point is that every nation, every community, every family has to start with its true north, clarity on where it wants to go. And the true north that Botswana has established for itself is that Botswana and the people of Botswana are saying that they want to be a high income economy that is diversified, that is digitally driven, that is export-oriented, in which every citizen is employed, every citizen is empowered, and every citizen is fulfilled. That's the starting point. Now, what is it then that we need to do, and where does the creative, what role that does the creative play in that? Well, first of all, we have been a mono economy, excessively dependent on diamonds. So our true north says we need to diversify. And you cannot diversify without the creative sector. The creative sector has this special thing where it knows how to unearth value and unearth talent, unearth processes, unearth beautiful things about ourselves that for some reason we haven't been able to unearth. The creative sector assists us to make the best use of that which we unearth. If it means that we must master how we beneficiate or polish our diamonds or turn our diamonds into jewelry, how we should use our flowers and our trees to manufacture medicines, unique medicines, medicines with high potency. So I asked one of our great entrepreneurs, or one of our great creatives, I asked him, what is it that you are looking for in any government systems? And this is what he says. He says, the first thing is we already know what we want to do, so we want to be facilitated. And by facilitation is that there are people that we want to be introduced to in the United States, in Asia. All we need is for you to knock on doors on our behalf, make the appointments for us. That's the first thing. And then the second, he says to me, we want to be invited to the high tables. We want to be invited where the decisions are made. We want to be invited to the tables that help us become informed about what opportunities are available that we can tap on. We want to be at the table so that we can also steer the ship towards where we want to go. The third, he says that we want to be endorsed. When you travel to Asia or travel to other parts of Africa or travel to the United States, we want you to say to the people that you meet, this is our man, this is our lady, so that we are credible when we do the things that we want to do. So that is one angle of looking at it. But in terms of what needs to be done to help bring out the best out of our creative sector, a number of things. The first is that we need to build the infrastructure. And infrastructure takes many forms. there is the need to build the digitalization ecosystem, which is lagging in this country. It is not just about building the digitalization or technology infrastructure, but even the physical infrastructure. We need to find optimal ways of building studios, music studios, diamond cities, unique museums that the whole world would want to be. So physical infrastructure as well. The other thing that we need to do is we need to make finance and funding available. And it is not just about making finance and financing available, it's making the right type of funding and financing available. Traditionally, the type of funding that has been available has been a one-size-fits-all. You know, the type of funding you need to build property is mainly debt capital, it's loan capital. And this is what the system has been making available to our artists, loan capital. And there is no way that you can fund the creative sector through loan capital. So what we are doing now is we are adapting our systems so that we have the right type of funding for creatives, a mixture of equity capital, of grants. That's one place. The other is that, of course, we have archaic laws and archaic regulatory frameworks that fail to remunerate and that fail to monetize our IP. So we need to catch up with the world so that our artists, so that our creatives are recognized for their IPs, they are properly remunerated for their IP, it's protected and it's monetized. The other thing that we need to do is the best form of empowerment in any generation and in any ecosystem is education. There is nothing more powerful than education and knowledge. So in addition to ensuring that our system has a very high quality overall education system, we also need an education system that is true to bringing out the best out of our creatives. And that education system needs to entail, we need to have a society of problem solvers, a society of managers, people who can manage, a society of entrepreneurs. So you need a particular type of education system that is true to bringing out the best out of our creatives. We need mentorships. Experience is the best teacher. So there is no better place to learn and develop your mastery other than from the people who have done it themselves and succeeded. So we need to create the ecosystems for mentorship programs, for understudy. So that is very important. But we also need to create the right type of mindset. You know, mindset is almost everything. You cannot become the best in the world if you do not believe yourself that you have what it takes to be the best in the world. So we need to cultivate and nourish our mindset in a way that our own people believe in themselves. They believe that they can be the best, not just in Botswana, the best not just on the African continent, but the best in the world. We need to celebrate our own beauty. We need to cherish our own beauty, our own musicians, our own poets. We need to celebrate them. We need to cherish them. We need to celebrate our own entrepreneurs and must not bring each other down. You know, sometimes, simply because people, every society should loathe corruption, okay? But in that loathing of corruption, we must not allow ourselves to be prisoners of the mentality that those who succeed and those who become billionaires and millionaires, we must not celebrate. Right? So when our young people and when our people succeed and they become highly successful, they become international rock stars and millionaires and billionaires, the starting point should not be, who gave them that favor or where did they steal that money. The starting point should be, wow, we need to celebrate our own. We need to celebrate. So those are some of the things that I believe that is the ecosystem that we need to build as Botswana, that we need to build as a people. Once we have an ecosystem that has all those elements that are able to bring out the best out of our people. As I say, we have what it takes, our people have what it takes, but we need to build the ecosystem to bring out the best out of our people.
And so we were talking before in regards to, there's an artist, a Botswanan artist, who sold an $8 million piece in the US. You have an amazing example of a Botswanan that founded Kaya Radio. Also, there are amazing examples of entrepreneurship from this country, all over the place. And so I'd like to actually just touch on that a bit, because it's something you mentioned that I think is quite powerful and quite important. Post-apartheid, when Nelson Mandela had the TEEB Investment Corporation, he set up Kaya Radio, they had no money, right? So they had to use a lot of barter agreements to set something up and create a successful media outlet, a media station. What would you then say, in your dual role as Minister of Finance as well, for creatives that are pushing into the industry? When you're coming into an industry, it's very, very difficult, sometimes to then make that start and to then create traction, What would you say to those types of individuals that have to then find mentors, that have to go through that path, because the reliance can't strictly be on government, as you elucidated. It has to be on them. What would you say to people, in that regard also?
One of the, ever since we were elected into leadership by the people of Botswana, one of the great privileges of the job, if any, is that now whenever I see all these high achievers, whether they are athletes or celebrities, I have the excuse to call them. I actually take the time, and I want to be able to call everyone, every single one of them, not only to celebrate them and to encourage them, but to say to them that the government is there, is available for you. This is your government. So you tell us which doors have been closed for you. So as a government system, we are available to hand-holding and opening doors on behalf of these creatives. But we need to do it at a systemic level. And this young minister here, Minister Gilebeng, we have put him under tremendous pressure to develop these ecosystems where we open doors and encourage collaboration. The second, of course, is that you talk about my role as a Minister of Finance. Can I tell you something about being a Minister of Finance?
Yes, sir.
Should I tell you something about being a Minister of Finance? When you are a Minister of Finance, don't tell them I told you this. I mean, the cabinet people, you are the most unpopular man in cabinet meetings. So I am immensely unpopular in cabinet. I am unpopular because all the ministers are under pressure to deliver, and they want and need money to deliver. But I say to them that it's not just about the money. You know, it's not about the money. It's also, as I said, it's also about knowing where to find the right type of money. You would be surprised. They are wealthy institutions and wealthy individuals around the world that have so much money, they don't know what to do with it. In fact, they have so much money that they are looking for novel ideas and novel initiatives and beautiful initiatives that they can be associated with. So one of the things that we are doing as the new government is we are finding all this money around the world that is available, that we don't have to pay for, that people want to, you know, when people invest, what they want in return is not always money. Sometimes people invest because what they want in return is fulfillment. What they want in return is being associated with something great. So part of what we're doing is making this type of funding available. And also the way we have been structuring, the way we dole out money, give businesses, it has been one size fits all. It has been loan capital, same application forms. It has been throwing money. So the new model is different, and it's going to be different in a number of ways. In Botswana, we have what are called Bomme ba Motshelo, okay? So Bomme ba Motshelo is that, what it's about is that Botswana has a culture of women coming together as community of women to encourage each other. And part of that encouragement entails funding each other for initially small-scale projects, poultry projects, paying school fees for kids. So they loan out money to each other, and these women Mithelo have the lowest default rates, lower default rates than the best banks in the world. And these women will tell you that we can loan out money to this lady, Mahwe Masego. Mahwe Masego means Masego's mom. We can loan money to Masego's mom because we know her, she's trustworthy, she always pays back. This lady here, Mahwe Tiro's mom, we're not loaning any money to Tiro's mom because she never pays. So when people come together as cooperatives and they develop a relationship among themselves and they know each other and they nourish each other and they cultivate each other, they are also able to create a financial ecosystem. Now, we have financial initiatives by the government, citizen economic, Citizen Entrepreneurial Development Agency, Botswana Development Agency. We throw money at them. They have very high default rates. Why not give money to the women who have low default rates, who know each other and know each other's capabilities and capacity? Why not give money to cooperatives? And why not also precede money? You know, in Botswana, you throw money at people first. And then after you give them money, then you think about training them to manage that money properly. So why not precede, right? Training people how to use the money, training people how to partner and find partnerships, grooming people on entrepreneurship, and then throw money to them when they are ready, when they are nourished. So we are moving towards that new model, a new ecosystem. It entails a lot of tweaking at the funds that we already have, tweaking at our training programs, tweaking at our development funds. So all of these is in recognition of the need to build an ecosystem that brings out the best out of our creatives.
And on that point, you know, women have been the backbone of this continent for a very long time, and without the proper recognition in doing so. And you brought up the informal sector as it pertains to finance. How difficult then is it to switch from the formal structure that you have now to an informal structure such as that? I know your government is so progressive and it's pushing out these amazing initiatives. Changing something to that degree that works, and it's been shown to work, and you have the data to back it up. How difficult then is it to make those adjunctive changes that people may look at as risky if they hadn't seen the data? How difficult is that from your position?
Well, you know, Rome was not built in one day. And every path, there are always different paths for achieving our aspirations. But what is clear is that, you know, in the past we had the luxury of having dialectics and debating about the need to diversify the economy. It was a luxury. It was an intellectual nice to have, because we had the diamonds then. But with the diamonds dried out and with the markets plummeted as they are, it is now an existential issue. We diversify or we perish. And so in a sense, the drying out of the diamond market, I believe, has been in a way a blessing in disguise, because it has forced us to do things that we otherwise wouldn't have been inclined to do. But the things that we are doing now, the things that we are being forced to do, we have no choice but to do them. The things that we do have no choice but to work. If they don't work, we will make them work. We will make them work. So yes, it's difficult, but I believe that Botswana has the right crop of leadership now. I think on the whole we have a good collective of leadership, and by leadership I don't necessarily mean cabinet. I mean leadership in the private sector, leadership in the public service, leadership in the political. So I think we have the ingredients in terms of leadership. That's one. I also believe that we have a generation that is extremely restless in a positive way, a generation that is immensely talented, a generation that is confident and it knows what it wants to do. And it's really a question of bringing out the best from that generation. And as I have said at the beginning, we have all the assets and the ingredients. We have the talent, we have the natural resources, we have the land, we have the sunlight, we have everything. You know, there's absolutely no excuse why Botswana cannot grow and go on to be the best managed economy on the African continent, the paragon of fairness, the paragon of unity, the paragon of inclusive prosperity on the African continent.
And so, speaking of the African continent, so from a Pan-African perspective, there's been a massive and completely unmatched movement, specifically across the youth, for there to be more unity from a Pan-African sense, both across the creative sector, entrepreneurial sector, trade, finance. If you look at the African continent from a GDP standpoint, if you link the countries together, the African continent's GDP is the equivalent to the 6th biggest economy in the world. So when we look at the creative sector and the entrepreneurial sector as a whole, and the innovation that's coming out of Botswana and out of Africa, how can Botswana sink into that system and have a more Pan-African presence and utilize the African continent and be able to export their ingenuity across the African continent and then the globe? What does this administration feel is the next steps for Botswana to take its place as a leader on the continent in that regard?
Well, you know, one of the things that we did immediately after the elections is that we, as part of what we call the Botswana Economic Transformation Program, it has several stages. The first stage was a diagnostics to look at the opportunities that are available, that are there for the taking, and the value chains that Botswana can fit itself into. And what we realized that everybody knew was that we are trading more with the world outside Africa than with Africa itself. And when you look at mega trends over the next 30, 40 years, the mega trends are such that Africa is the next big thing. Is the next big thing in terms of we will have the most youth, that means the most talent, that means the most creativity. We will have the most markets in terms of quantum. So this diagnostics then showed us that if we want to have a future, we have to do tremendously more with Africa than we are doing currently. What is it that we need to do with Africa? There's so much that we need to. I'll give a few examples. Africa is not fully utilizing its full trading potential because of the infrastructure gaps. You don't have the fast train from South Africa through Botswana to Zambia to DRC. Why do we not have a fast train? Why can you not board a train from Abuja and go for a meeting to Kinshasa and come back the same day on? So we need to build those common infrastructures. And fast train is an example. So one of the things that we are doing now is having conversations with our counterparts of co-investing. Everything now is about doing things together. We are talking about doing the fast train together. We are talking about developing rail infrastructure, road infrastructure amongst ourselves. We are talking about, we are already sharing a bridge, Kazungula Bridge, with Zambia. So a big part is building the infrastructure together. We have started to do that. Yesterday I was in and out of Zambia to talk about our co-investments. The president today is in Namibia, and a big part of that is co-investments. Namibia is going into oil. They need tremendous capital to do that. We are saying to them, you can't do it without us. We have the reputation. You know, we have a good name in financial, so we can use our good name, even though we don't have money because of the diamonds, but we can monetize our good name so that we bring out the best and co-invest in things. And specifically, there are initiatives right now in Botswana. There is partnerships between MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, with the government of Botswana, with Boost University, where we are identifying the best African talent, not just Botswana talent, the best African talent. We're already doing that and pulling that African talent, exposing it to a rapid upskilling, and then once we have filtered it, exposing them to high-impact financiers and high-impact private equity funds. So we're hoping that we will build this ecosystem of identifying, you know, the most promising entrepreneurs, the most promising creatives across Africa, and having them collaborate, having them work together, having them be co-financed, having them have access to markets across. So there is no future without us co-creating, co-investing, doing things together at all levels, as governments, as a private sector, and as communities across Africa.
Amazing, and I'm sure that's really refreshing for many people to hear. When you look at different jurisdictions, obviously Botswana is now pushing to compete on the world stage, as you elocuted. When you look at other markets, when you look at initiatives like Rwanda and KAFC, the UAE's legislation as it pertains to its taxation, what are you looking at for Botswana to compete and to help entrepreneurs and creatives as it pertains to specific legislation, so that it's easier for them to access a global market and it attracts talent, as you mentioned? Because I'm presuming if you can do that, if you can do both, if you can create that legislation, then you're bringing in talent and you're empowering Botswanans, and you're creating, you know, a more holistic and growth-led future. Is there anything specific on the horizon that you can look at and talk to?
You know, sometimes the things that appear like they are impediments are actually the things that afford you and give you your competitive advantage. The fact that we are, for instance, a small population, right? In many ways, it's seen as a disadvantage because it means the market is small. But we are positioning ourselves, and what we want to be able to do is to use our small population as an advantage on a number of fronts. The first front is that a smaller population, you are in a better position to give them a much higher level of training, you are in a better position to upskill them to a much higher level on average than most countries are able to. So we want to leverage on that small population and tilt our education system so that we create a citizenry, for instance, that are leaders in artificial intelligence, in certain areas in engineering. So that's one, leveraging and taking advantage of the fact that we have a small population. Taking advantage of the fact that we are land linked, right? So growing up, we were taught that we are landlocked, and we felt sorry for ourselves that we didn't have coastlines and beaches. But now, with time, we realize that being land-linked is such a beautiful thing, because South Africa cannot trade with the DRC without going through us. Namibia cannot trade with Zimbabwe without going through us. Zimbabwe cannot trade. So being land-linked is that, look, you have to go through us. If you want to build oil pipelines, they have to go through us. So we've got to charge you. You want to create fiber link, it has to go through us. You have to do it with us. We will charge you. So being land linked, but also being part of a larger community. We are part of the SACU, Southern African Customs Union family of countries, or part of SADC. This means that in reality, our so-called Botswana borders only belong or should belong to the mind. Our real market is not the Botswana population. Our real market is the 277 million people. We have to take advantage again that being a small country, it is the best place to raise children, right? Your children don't have to grow up playing video games all day. They can go out into the streets and play with other boys and other girls and have fun and inculcate cultures in them. Small population means we are a very safe country. The fact that we have a good reputation of financial prudence means that we will have better access to financial resources. More investors and more institutions want to partner with us as a country. We now are beginning to have really cutting-edge universities. I mean, BUST and UB are becoming true innovation sectors, centers of excellence. And the type of opportunity for us in research and development, you know, the amount of flowers and plants that we can convert into medicines, natural medicines without side effects, natural medicines that are truly healing, not symptom killing, are just amazing. The foods, you know, the delicacies, the foods that give long life. You know, my grandfather lived until 109 years old. He was exactly 100 years older than me, my great-grandfather. Because of the food they eat, you know, mugwagwa. You know, my great-grandmother lived until 105. Yeah. So, in fact, my father was the earliest, as we would have it. But there's something in our natural foods that if we were truly to research and develop it, I would put it to you, we have the healthiest foods, not just in the world, but in history. That's why our people live so long in the villages. You know, we have sunlight, the third highest exposure to sun energy, radiation. You know, what we can do with that. Research and development in batteries, right, in energy. research and development, the materials, the soils that we have, the trees, the materials that we can develop for aircraft, materials for housing, materials for construction, eco-friendly materials. So much opportunity. We have so much land, fertile land. And with modern technologies, there are technologies now which, if properly deployed, the types of things that we would be able to produce here. I mean, 10 years ago, nobody thought we would be a world leader or an emerging world leader in citrus production. And we believe that now it is coming through that we'll be able to produce castor oil, hemp for materials. We'll be able to, but these things we need to research and develop. What we are doing with the fact that we have minerals and how that, some of that, the byproducts can be converted into fertilizers. You know, we can become an export base for fertilizers. What our young people are doing in software development, you know, research and development. There's no reason why a software developer should apply for a CEDA loan, in my view. No. A software developer should be able to hand in their ideas upfront and demonstrate that there's potential, and with the right guiding and the right hand-holding, be funded, right? Be funded until such time, then they can get funding to scale up. I can go on the whole night, by the way, about the opportunities that abound, the opportunities that Botswana has. We really have no one to blame but ourselves. We would have no one to blame but ourselves. I believe, as I keep saying, we have everything it takes. The leadership, the people, the entrepreneurs, the energy, the talent, the resources to create the best managed country on the African continent.
Two more brief questions from me. President Boko spoke about government being the biggest impediment to growth, which is ironic because it's also the thing that can obviously propel growth so much as well. And he also, I'm paraphrasing him slightly, he also discussed the concept of working in silos and trying to stop government working in silos, to stop entrepreneurs working in silos as well, and to begin working together on a much higher click. When you see government today, when you see different sectors today across Botswana, and we talk about breaking down these silos to work together so that MDCB works better with BITC, that BITC has a better scope of work with Botswana youth and Botswana creativity and people that want and need investment and that can bridge those things. What does that look like for this administration? What is your plan for breaking down those silos so that there is a much more conducive and together-based scope of growth for Botswana?
Well, I think it is true that President Boko, he really loathes red tape. I think we have a government civil service that in the past had very stringent and very regimented processes, which for past times, for times in the past, they actually worked. Because when you have the right processes, then you ensure there's uniformity, you ensure that there is fairness, you ensure things are vetted out properly. But in the modern economy, these regimented processes have become archaic, and they have become a great impediment. And indeed, the government departments, private sector are working in isolation. And I would even put it to you that if there's the one thing that Botswana is renowned for, is Botswana is very good at policy formulation, very good at policy conceptualization. But as the young people here would say, when it comes to execution, dololo. Right. So now we are repivoting and resetting. So there is now a big emphasis on execution. You will find that now the biggest emphasis in execution, because the ideas are there, the plans are there, but getting them done. Now, what have we done moving towards this culture of execution? We have started the Botswana Economic Transformation Program. I did say it has different phases, and one of the potent phases of the Botswana Economic Transformation Program is that it has what it calls economic labs, economic laboratories, okay? So economic labs, what they do is they bring everybody under the same roof. Botswana has decided that it wants to focus on 9 key sectors. See, 6 of them are economic sectors, 3 of them are social sectors. So we had a 4-week window, which window entailed economic labs, which brought everyone under one roof. It brought the investors, it brought government decision makers, it brought those who are responsible for land allocation, those who are responsible for licensing, those who are responsible for permits, and gurus, everybody under one roof. And in that laboratory, there were exquisite investors who have been, for lack of a better word, languishing in the Botswana system, possessing all the capital required, possessing everything required, except that they were being sent from pillar to post to get their licenses and their land. So what this economic lab does is that everybody needs to agree in the lab that this missing land allocation is going to be done by such and such a day, by such and such an institution, by such and such an individual, by such and such a time. So these economic labs are now creating a new culture where entities, communities, institutions, government, the private sector begin to communicate and begin to synchronize like in one big orchestra. But like I say, Rome was not built in one day. So this is just the beginning. This is actually documented, thoroughly documented. Every citizen in this country will actually have access to the Botswana Economic Program. They will know that we as citizens of Botswana are expecting these high impact, needle moving investments, and to execute these investments, these are the things that are going to be taking place. These are the timelines. So it's the beginning of a culture, and it's phase 1. So what we want to do then is to cultivate this, plant this, and translate it and turn it into a culture for the whole Botswana system, so that we have economic labs at all levels and at all times. We want to then percolate these economic labs to the local government so that communities talk to each other and they themselves decide what it is they want to run with, how they want to run with it, how they will collaborate in ways that will bring out the best in them. We will do the same with ministries. Now, the next stage of the Botswana Economic Transformation Program is that the ministries themselves also need to go to the next level, to set up the capacity and capabilities to deliver, to be delivery mechanisms on their own. And at the level of the president and the leadership, all these processes will then flow into some sort of dashboard system that we are able to monitor, that we are able to look at, to escalate, and that we are able to make people accountable for. So to answer your question, we have always been big on ideas. We have always known what we want to do as a people, as a country. But the one thing that we have always failed on is execution. So if there's anything that we will do differently in the new Botswana and going forward, I would say to you is execution, is more execution, is super execution, is ultra execution, is more execution, is... So I want you to take back to all your friends around the world and say, we've always known what we want to do. We are beautiful people. We are the best country on the African continent. But the one thing we have committed to, and we will do very well in the coming years, is execution, is more execution, is ultra execution, is super execution, is more execution.
Listen, I may stay here, so I don't know if I'll be able to do that, but I'll try. Last one for me then. In regards to that, you've obviously put in place these extremely exciting diversification and economic programs, creative programs for entrepreneurs and Botswanans across the country and across the world. What does this look like 10, 20 years from now? So we have execution, we have more execution, we have ultra execution, we have phenomenal execution. Where does Botswana stand on a global stage, on a Pan-African stage, on a unified stage? What is the vision? When you look at it from the end to now, the end, quote unquote, where do you see it? What is your dream when people talk about and see Botswana and the implementation of Botswana on a global stage?
Well, I wouldn't want to put it as my dream. I think it's the dream of the people of Botswana. And we have already stated that dream. And we called it the true dream. And where we are 20 years from now, every citizen is employed. Every citizen is empowered to be the best that they can be. Every citizen is fulfilled. They believe, they are proud, they cherish who they are and what they can become. And the economy is diversified. It's a high-income economy. Is export-driven, is digitally enabled. That is where we are. We would have brought out the best in our people. Our people, as long as they applied themselves, would be able to become the best version of themselves. They can become, and they believe that they can become anything under the sun. One of the things that I cherish and I respect about the United States and the American dream is the idea that in America, when I was studying there, every American, it didn't matter what family they emanated from, whether it was a wealthy family or poor family, it didn't matter whether they had a pristine education or not a pristine education, but every single American believes that they can become anything they want to become. And we in Botswana, as I said, we are a beautiful people, and what we would like is for our people to start to believe that if they apply themselves diligently, they can become anything under the sun, and they will become anything under the sun.
Thank you so much for your time, Acting President. We very much look forward to your progress, and congratulations on your accomplishments thus far. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
The acting president of the Republic of Botswana for that engaging conversation. So I'm so sorry, acting president, for doing this. If I may please invite you back to the stage. Thank you very much. So ladies and gentlemen, at this point, please take your seats. So now, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, I'd like to invite the members of the media for a quick photo op with Mr. Wilson and the acting president of the Republic of Botswana. Thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we have come to that time of the program where we have to allow an acting president to attend to other engagements. So please, if we may all rise as the acting president exits the hall. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. If you may please take our seats. Now we have come to the end of our first half of the program. It's time for our tea break, which is exactly 15 minutes. So please, ladies and gentlemen, do go take